The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I create a, a course map. So I'll say like Sunita Williams, and we'll do a traditional orienteering event to begin with. So I just started this PurplePen file, which is a free download, but I think it only works on Windows operating systems. So I clicked on it, and then it goes through this little getting started wizard, and then you choose a map file. Now I have my computer set up so that I can see the team drive, the Needham Orienteering team drive, as though it were a local file system on my computer. So that's what we're looking at here. You might like need to download the file that you want to work with and then re-upload it or to wherever you're going to store it. But anyway, that's what's going on here. Oh, okay. I have to I'm going to copy in the latest version of the map. So I've been doing some work on the map, and I've got it sort of in our navigation game central location for maps. So I'm just going to grab it from there. Nope. And then I will be sharing back with OUSA and John Campbell, who was the map consultant, the maps that I've done work on. So I'm going to take that and put it in right here. Maps. Okay, so whoops. Great. Okay, so I'm going back to PurplePen, and I am going to open. So now there's different versions of the map. There's an OCAD format and a PDF format. I tend to use the OCAD format because that's not sort of human readable, but that's the format that is used by the map making software, either OCAD or Open Orienteering Mapper. OCAD is a program that costs money. Open Orienteering Mapper is a program that does not cost money. I'm familiar with OCAD and not with OOM, but I think either one can work fine, especially to do things like making updates to the map over time. We're not going to talk about that in this session, how to update the map. Instead, we're going to talk about how to use the map and create a course with it. So I'm just going to go ahead and open this particular version of the map. This is named April 29th because that's when I started working on this new version. And again, I'm using the OCAD format. And what's cool about this is if I go back to this file and make updates to the map using OCAD, then when I open PurplePen again, or PurplePen is smart and it goes, oh, you've got a new version, I'll just use your new version. It should also be possible to use the PDF. And something that I wasn't clear on is whether the PDF is correctly geo-referenced so that it will, and we'll play with that if I remember. Okay, so I've chosen the map file and I'm going on, and it knows it from looking at the map file, it knows it's at a 1 to 1500 scale. So I'm going to leave it at that. We can change that later. And I know that it's in portrait format. Again, I could change that later. And I tend to always set up the course maps in a different folder than where we store the map file, because I don't want to clutter up the map directory, map folder. So I'm going to go ahead and choose a different place. And I have my own naming convention that I kind of like, which is, let's see, we're in maps. And I'll just create a new folder under maps and call it test map. And then say, okay, great. And then I leave this as default. This is like which version of the IOF descriptions, and I'm just taking the most recent versions of the standards. Finally, the starting code, I generally leave this at 31, and you will have controls that start at 31 unless you manually change them later. So I just generally leave that as well. And then we're ready to get started. Oh, okay, great. So here we are with the map, and this white square is showing what will print if you print. So I want to change that right off the bat by doing set print area for all courses and just kind of centering that. Great, done. Okay, so I can zoom in by, right now I'm like rolling with my mouse forward and back, and then you can grab it by clicking left and move it around. So that's how you kind of move around. So then you can add courses, or you can add controls into this all controls map, or you can go and start designing a specific course. And any course that you design, those controls will be added to the all controls map. So I will start by designing a course, add a course, course 1. And then I'm going to start by adding a start triangle. Let's put it where we usually start. And then I'll add a control, maybe on this tree. You can also, there's shortcuts. So if you go up to add control and hover over it, you see that a control A shows up. So if I do control A instead, then I can add a control. So I'll add it onto the bench. Control A, let's get into the woods. Control A, top of the knoll. Control A, let's bring them way over here. And then we'll finish. Actually, I'm going to have them avoid the playground by having to come here. And then I'll add a finish where we've been finishing lately. Now, one thing I want to say is if you do a fence corner or a corner of any kind, you generally want to place the control so that it's pretty obvious, like which are you on the outside of the corner or the inside of the corner. Another thing I want to say is that generally you want to put, like good course design is that you're going to put each control on a distinct feature. And then you can go and you can add information to the clue sheet. So each of these columns in a clue sheet means something different. The first column is the order in which you need to visit the controls. The second column is the control code that will be on the control. The third column we'll get to in a second. The fourth column, what's number 1? It is a tree. Let's put it right on the tree. So the fourth column is what is the feature that the control is on. The third column is if there are multiple ones of that feature, like if there were multiple trees there, which one is it? Is it the north one, the south one, the upper one, and so on? And if you hover over it, it gives you, it explains what it is. The fifth column is if there is a second feature there. So you might have like a crossing between a trail and a stream. And so you would put both a trail and a stream and then onto that control. The sixth column is rarely used, but if you have like 2 linear features, or if you have linear features, then this would be for a crossing, and that's a junction where one linear feature is ending at the other linear feature, and then you have bend. And the purpose of no symbol is if you had picked crossing or junction, for example, and then you wanted to erase it. You have to erase it by clicking on no symbol. This next column is which side of the feature is it on. And again, if you hover over these, you'll see at the very bottom the English version of it. So is it at the top of the boulder, the lower part of the reentrance, say, south corner, on the outside south corner of something, inside south corner or south part, south edge, south side. So anyway, there's a lot of choices there. And then finally, this last column is also rarely used, but if it's a refreshment control, like they have water there, you can put that. Or if you have like an EMT sitting there waiting for somebody who comes out of the woods injured, you can put that there. And sometimes controls are manned in a race, and so you can put the little human. Okay, so I'm just going to go through, and number 2 is a bench, which is a man-made feature. Number 3 is a tree. Number 4 is the top of a hill. Number 5 is a pole. I'll just call that another man-made feature. Number 6 is the inside corner of a fence, and it's, I guess, the inside northeast corner. So, whoops. Nope. Yes. Inside northeast corner. Great. Great. So now I've got my clue sheet. I'm zooming out. And then I often play around a little bit with with the appearance. I customize the appearance. So I often use bold for the symbols that are the number of the control. I also make them a little more readable by adding a little bit of a white outline around them or on one edge of them. I also may not use the IOF standard sizes and instead increase the line width so that it's clearer, like from 0.35 to 0.5, and then the lines are just more obvious. Sometimes you might find that this course that you've drawn in purple over the map obscures some important feature. Like say right here, there's a man-made feature that's kind of obscured. And I think there's a way to add a gap. So I selected add gap. I'm going to click down here and go here. Oh, that didn't work. So that wasn't the way to do it. Let's see, item. Maybe I had to select it first and then do it. Yes, great. Okay, so I've added a gap in this line so that I can see this man-made feature. Similarly, I might want to be able to see this fence. So I'll select this line, item, add gap, and then go like that. I'll control Z out of that, because another thing that you might want to do is be super clear that they're not allowed to like go into the marsh. And the way you could do that is select that line, item, add bend, and just pull it back. Oh, click on it and then pull it. And then that just forces the line to, but of course people should know that they're not supposed to run through the marsh anyway, because orienteering is all about picking an optimal route. So I'll control Z out of that as well. Okay, so another thing that you can do in PurplePen is you can create these descriptions. So I just clicked on add description, bring the cursor down over the map, and then just hold down the left mouse and pull until I get it to the desired width. And then you can also have the descriptions, instead of being the symbols, you can change them to being English. And the way I do that is I go to course properties and I change the description appearance to text instead of symbols. And then if we zoom in there, you can see that it's replaced the symbols with English. And you can also have it show both the symbols and the text. So if we go and look at all controls now, it has added those controls that we added in our course to here. And so this is often useful this map is often useful for hanging the controls. So if you have multiple courses, all of the controls that you used will be on this all controls map for control hanging. Then you can export the, so actually I'll just make another course, add course 2. And it's got the start and the finish in there already. And so I can say add control. And when I click on add control, the controls I've already created show up faintly. And if I get anywhere near them, it'll snap to that. So I could go ahead and click on that. Or when I say add control, if I'm not near one that I've already gotten, it can, you can add a completely new control, and then it'll just number it in order sequentially based on the next available number. Great. So now I've got 2 courses. I'm going to add in the control features. So that was a pull. 38 was a bend in the trail. And now if we look at all controls, it's got them all. And I guess for course 2, I might want to add in the descriptions there too. Now you can create PDFs either of the descriptions or the courses. And it looks like you also could do punch cards, which might be good when you don't want to use Sport Ident. So let's see what each of those looks like. So I'm going to click on descriptions first, and I'll just get the all controls as well, and I'll just do a preview. And so this is what it looks like. So you can see it's just the clue sheet, but all in one page. So you can print these out and cut them out and then have them separate from the map. Orienteers in a race, they'll usually have like this little wrist holder for their clue sheet so that they can look at the clues as they're running without having to unfold their map to look at the ones that are printed on the map. Notice that I forgot to change this second course to be English, so it's still the symbols. So anyway, this is the preview. So if you go ahead and save it or create PDF, it'll create that PDF. Let's look at another PDF thing. So the courses. So if you do this, you can have a name prefix, which I won't choose. I'll just hit create, and it'll create these in the same folder where I have the PurplePen file. So we'll look at course 1. I'm double clicking on the PDF. And this is usually how I print. Like I'll open the PDF and then I'll print from here. Ta-da! Yay. Okay, and then like finally, let's check out, I'm not sure exactly what this does, the punch cards. I'll say, so it looks like you can have different layouts. Nice. And I'll create a PDF. Punch cards. Let's see what that looks like. Punch cards. Nice. Okay, so there's only 6. There's room for like a lot of punches. 3 times 8, 24. But we're only using 6. So we could have changed the layout so that it didn't use so many boxes. But for the Scoro, it might have been nice to create the punch cards this way. No, maybe not, because it shows the answers. Anyway, if you're using the manual punching, like the pin punching, you can use these. Or if you could maybe use this to print out punch cards or like cards if they're writing down the answers. Of course, in the case that you don't have the answers actually shown here. Now I want to show you a map that we're going to use the rest of this week. Whoops, cancel. Why? Oh, no. Open? Really? Open? Okay, I don't know why that happened. I'm going to try it one more time by going to Micro O, opening it this way. Okay. All right, so here I made, for the courses that we're doing tomorrow, I just used a partial map. And there's a couple things I did in order to make that happen. First of all, I'm printing it instead of at 1 to 1500 scale. I changed it so that the course would be printed at 1 to 1000 by typing in 1000 here. And then I changed like the print area for all the courses so that it was just down in this bottom left area. Another thing I did was I whited out part of the map. And the way I did that was you can add special item, whiteout area, and then you can just draw like that and create a whiteout area. And the way that I actually drew it was I clicked left and moved to another place while holding left, then released. Then I moved and clicked left again and moved and released. Then I clicked left again, moved and released. Okay, so another thing you can do is, let's say I take this course and duplicate it. I'm going to make a Scoro course. So to turn this from a point-to-point course into a Scoro course, I am going to properties on that course and going from normal course to score course. And then I say, okay. And now there aren't lines connecting it, and the idea is you can go in any order. All right, I'm going to close out of here. Do you have any questions that you can think of about PurplePen? Great. Okay, so I'm going to exit out of here. And now I'm going to show you another program, which is EasyGec. All right. So EasyGec is a program written by this guy in France. Let's see what we can learn about it by Googling it. Wait. Give me a Google. Yes. So I'll just Google EasyGec, and just to make sure, I'll just say orienteering. And this is usually how I get there. This is not the actual EasyGec site, but if I go to this site, then I can find how to get to it. So this is a different site. Go for orienteering, and it says click on the link to go to the website of Thierry Fauré, the developer of the software. So I go there, and he's French, so I go up here and click English. And it talks a little bit about it, and then télécharger means download. And then there is help, but I guess I usually get to help from running the actual program. So if you download it, you can install it. Actually, you download it, and the one thing is you have to make sure you have Java installed. And in fact, in our drive, there are some instructions about this. Equipment, I think it's in equipment. PC installations. Let's see what it says. All right, Java. So you need Java in order to be able to run EasyGec. And honestly, there's something about which version of Java you have that sometimes we have to debug, but basically you need to have a correct version of Java in order for it to work. I should add information about that to this page. But once you have Java going, then you will do what I'm going to show you, which is you do a command prompt from Windows. So this is like sort of the command line way to interact with a Windows machine. And then you go to wherever you have put EasyGec out when you downloaded it, which I think for me is in my desktop. And then to run the program, you type java -jar EasyGec.jar, and then it runs. Come on. Great. And then you can open a file that you've already created. And every time you go to open a file, it asks if you want to save the one that you have already created. So I had created this previously, and one of the things I found with EasyGec is that once you set up the file with the courses in it that you're going to run, then I keep a clean version of that without having any results in it. And then I copy that clean version into another folder, or I rename it, or I copy and rename it so that the file that has the results doesn't clutter up that initial blank file. So here you can see how EasyGec has, in this case, 5 different courses, and each course has a series of codes, a sequence of codes. And you can tell it whether it is a point-to-point, in other words, classic race, or a score race where it doesn't matter the order in which you get it. And this is the file that we used for your last class yesterday. So what you do is if you have the mini reader hooked up, then it will show up here as with the right port, and you can reload once you plug in that USB mini reader to see it. So once you have that, then you can do downloads. And the only other 2 buttons that we ever typically touch are this go, which starts the program running. And sometimes when it seems like kids are trying to download and it's not beeping, I'll stop and restart this program here, and that usually takes care of it. And then this button right here says how you would like to see the output. If you click on it, you'll get a smiley face, and that's the one that gives the smiley face or the frowny face and the yay. But if you change it to this sort of matrix format, then what it does when somebody downloads is it just pops up a little pop-up window with their results and their splits. So sometimes I switch to that so I can tell the kids who missed one control and got an oh no, which more about what their time was and because their time doesn't show up if they get an oh no. And then I guess the other button we use typically is this one to open a new file, or this one to save the current file. Sometimes I'll look at the results, and there's two formats in which I look at the results. This one opens an HTML file that says for each of the 5 different courses that we had, what were the results. And this is the SI card number that the team used, and this is their running time. Now there's this extra 1 here. I do not understand why there is a 1. I was going to write to that guy Thierry who wrote the software and ask him what is up with that, but I ignore that. And really it's hours, minutes and seconds that we care about. And this is how many controls they got. So you can see that there's a team here that only got 4 of the 5 controls, but it does give their time anyway, which is nice, because with kids, we often want to tell them, oh, great, you got 4 out of 5 controls instead of you failed. And then you can also see that some of the running times are really big, and this means that they didn't clear or start properly. And then if it's a negative number, which we don't have an example of here, that usually means that they didn't go to the finish. Now there's another thing and by the way, we have the ability to pre-assign numbers to names. So if we ever want to do that, then in the results, if we open this up, we would immediately get their name instead of their SI card number. And the way that you do that assignment is you can actually read in a spreadsheet of assignments, or you can go one by one and say, okay, SI card 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 belongs to this person. There's another form in which we can get the results. And this is it. Yeah, so here we can see the splits. So, and all of these files are just available on the computer. So they could be printed out afterwards, they could be printed out during, they could be shown on a separate monitor, they could be downloaded and analyzed later in some way. But so now it's the same results, it's just that, it's just, and it's more. And in fact, in the first results that we saw, for course 2, there were only 4 results, but now for course 2, there are 7 results. And that is because these 2 people ran the same course twice, and now we have both of their results. So, or I think that's what's going on. Maybe I don't know what exactly is going on, because these look exactly the same. So that is confusing to me. So I don't know why those are repeated. Oh, maybe they downloaded twice. Sometimes the kids have done that. Yeah, but anyway, that suggests to me that if they had run it twice, that we would see their results show up twice, which is cool. Anyway, so this is their splits, how long the total time, what time they started, and then their splits, and really 1 second. This doesn't look very right to me. But anyway, I guess if we subtracted this minus this, that would tell us how many seconds. I just don't see why these numbers here aren't more like what I would expect, blah, blah, blah. Okay. All right, so that is EasyGec. And then I wanted to show you how to create a new event here. So now I've got a totally blank event, and so you can add a course, and I might be like course 1, okay. And then I could add the codes. And if we actually went back to that PurplePen file, this is going to be great. Okay, so I could say, okay, I'm going to do 31, and this is kind of annoying because you got to click on each of these. I'm hitting enter in order to go faster. But there you have a course and the codes. But there's another way that I think we can get the courses in, and that is starting from a PurplePen file. We can say File, Create Data. I think it's Create Data Interchange File, IOF XML. So we're going to try that. So that's going to end up in Maps Micro O XML. Save. Great. And now I'm going to come over here back to EasyGec, and I'm going to try importing courses. I'm going to click on Import Courses from OCAD, because OCAD is another way you can create these. And now I got to find that. Sunita orienteering maps. Micro O. Yes, here's that XML file we just created, and boom, it has created course 1, 2. Why did it have 2 course 1s? Okay, that is because I made another Scoro course or something. No, I don't know why. Anyway, you're supposed to be able to import those courses that you've exported from creating them in PurplePen, and I'm pretty sure that works. So that's EasyGec and PurplePen. Yeah, that's why we're videotaping it. Yeah. So, yeah, so what we're going to be leaving you with, of course, is all of the maps, all of the PurplePen files that we used to create the maps, and then all of the EasyGec files that go with those maps, as well as EasyGec files that go with our clue sheet orienteering, like the Animal O. So we'll, like later, we'll go through and do a little bit of an inventory about where to find all of those things. I currently am using some Sport Ident boxes that I borrowed from Orienteering USA, and they're numbered differently. Like they're numbered, as you've seen, like 141 to 150 instead of 31 to 40. But so the EasyGec files are a little bit different. Cool. Yep. So I just wanted to do like that, like drive through to show you.
So you're printing this out on your own color printer?
Yeah, that's how I'm printing the maps that we are using this week.
Gotcha. So I would have to print them out for color printers here as well.
Yes. But I will be leaving you with all of the maps that we use
Sure.
this 5 weeks. Like so far, it's that Scoro that we did yesterday, and then the mini courses that we are doing tomorrow and Friday. And then I'm going to show you too that I have, okay, in Sunita orienteering under equipment currently, under EasyGec, I've got these clean files, and I'm going to, so these are, I'm going to get rid of ones that we don't need, delete. So these are the various EasyGec files that we'll be using. So the Scoro 30s and 40s is similar to Animal O. Oh wait, what is it? No, the Animal O 30s and 40s is the same as Animal O 140s. It's just that the 140s is for a different set of controls. And then Animal 140 might be quite similar, I'm not sure. Anyway, we're using those both for the clue sheet orienteering and then the geometric Animal O that we'll do next week or the week after, maybe next week. We'll also use the same EasyGec file because we're using the same clue sheets. We're just adding some maps. But then for the youngest children, I have created these 7, these like different levels on the geometric Animal O. And at the moment, I have separate EasyGec files. And I just kind of invented this for working with Cambridge. And one thing that we're thinking about doing is combining some of these EasyGec files so we don't have to swap them in and out. But anyway, you'll see how that works. Basically, this is a way to try to get the kids to really understand how to read the map, the geometric Animal O map. The nut-o is another version of clue sheet orienteering, but with nuts instead of animals. And with some of our classes in Cambridge, we started with the nut-o because it is a very simple layout of just like a square of 8 checkpoints, 4 in the corners, and then 4 bisecting those edges. But the reason I didn't use it at Sunita Williams is that we had so many children in one class that the things we usually do with nut-o, just it felt like it might get really crowded. That's why I started with animal O and not nut-o anyway. But we can, yeah. And then, oh yeah, so I also have just a 2 animal course, which is really a lot like the 5 animal courses. It's just got 2 animals. And again, that's for the very youngest children, which we've sometimes used instead of jumping right into the 5 animal. But I feel like, you know, with the kids working in pairs, at least one of the kids in the pair usually gets it well enough to be able to do the 5 animal one. And then the veggie O is another geometric animal, I mean, a geometric orienteering thing. It's just in a different layout, and we have the maps for that as well. Yeah, instead of in pairs.
I was just curious.
Yeah, I'm going to actually stop this video because we're going on to another topic.